What first drew you to Calvin Coolidge?
I was particularly impressed with the scholarship program, and I think I mentioned in there, not only do I love the pure merit aspect of the scholarship program, I like the idea of 30,000+ of the best young minds in the country being exposed to Calvin Coolidge in the 20s, which we were just talking about now, so that when they go and get fake history at school, at least they know something else. As someone said, you know, no economist believes the 20s caused the Depression, but a lot of historians do. So this is a way of subverting that influence by making sure a lot of bright young people understand what really went on.
Okay. And what was the theme of your remarks at the conference?
Today? Yeah. Basically, I tried to describe why the 20s were transformative, and I used the example of the automobile sales, you know, began America's love affair with the automobile. I also used the example of electrification of homes. There are lots of others that, you know, Dr. Cochran used, which were equally good, but those two, I think, you know, just tie in today to things we take for granted that were a function of what went on in the 20s. So it was an amazingly transformative period, and perhaps I didn't emphasize enough that, you know, growth periods like that don't grow on trees. They're a function of a policy and a context that was provided by Calvin Coolidge.
Great. Is there anything important about Coolidge that you may not have had a chance to say in your public remarks at the conference?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, what I just said, that I didn't give Coolidge enough credit for creating the environment that created the 20s. The 20s were not an accident. They were a function of Calvin Coolidge lowering taxes. I'll give you one data point that's interesting. There was no Federal Register during Calvin Coolidge's administration because he didn't have enough regulations that people had to write them down somewhere. Along came Roosevelt. They needed a Federal Register to keep track of him. It started with 2,000 pages, and by the time he left office, it had 15,000 pages.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Is there anything, since you've been at the conference and hearing other people speak, that you've heard that maybe is sparking your thinking in a new way, or something, you know, that is just...
I'd say it's reinforced a lot of my prejudices. But I'll tell you, I thought Bill Beach's talk was particularly good, and I would recommend that Coolidge get a copy of that and print it in the quarterly report, or encourage him to, you know, to print it somewhere else, because he did an excellent job of laying out the, you know, the tax policy issues.
And since this is the centennial year of Coolidge's inauguration, is there anything about Coolidge that you think needs extra attention at this time, when we kind of have this platform to...
Well, I think we've done, Amity has done a wonderful job with the Centennial in promoting the reputation and the policies and the success of Coolidge. I think what needs to be done is get this into school curriculums more. And I'm not quite sure how we do it. Maybe, you know, Governor Nome goes back to South Dakota and makes sure this is the way, you know, American history is taught. Maybe Ron DeSantis in Florida, who's getting fed up with some of the garbage that gets taught, will take this up. So I think, you know, slowly but surely trying to re-educate America about how important the 20s were, and how, you know, what a superior president Coolidge was, would be, you know, a great objective. But the, you know, the foundation already has that, and the scholarship program is addressing that in one way.
Great. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you would like to talk about? No,
I think we've covered most things. I would just circle back to the importance of encouraging investment. All of the, you know, John Cochran said economists are scratching their heads about whether the era of growth is over. I would guarantee you, if the environment is right, for entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, normal businessmen to invest money at an appropriate gain And this is a function of tax law and regulation. If they can do that, you'll have plenty of growth as far as the eye can see.